Have you ever found yourself lying in bed at the end of a long day watching a stranger on your screen make a cup of coffee, and feeling a strange, deep sense of peace wash over you as the steam rises from their mug, and the morning light filters through their kitchen window even though you are miles away and living a completely different life? It is a quiet phenomenon that so many of us share but rarely talk about in depth. This specific pull toward watching the ordinary routines of people we have never met and likely never will. And it raises a gentle question about what we are really looking for when we press play on a video titled Simply Day in the Life. Hello and welcome to this space where we are going to slow down for a few minutes and explore this habit together. Not to analyze it or critique it, but simply to understand the comfort it brings and why it feels so necessary for so many of us right now. I want to reassure you right from the start that if you find yourself drawn to these videos, if you find solace in watching someone else tidy their apartment or commute to work or study for an exam, you are not alone. And you are not wasting your time, because often what looks like simple entertainment is actually meeting a much deeper human need for connection, and for a moment of stillness in a fast-moving world. There is a common misconception that we watch these videos because we are bored or because we want to escape our own realities. But I think if we look a little closer, we might find that it is actually about a desire to see life slowed down to a pace that feels manageable again. When you watch a day in the life video, you are stepping into a curated pocket of time where the chaos of the world is filtered out. And what remains is the rhythm of being human, the small essential tasks that make up a day. And there is something incredibly grounding about witnessing that rhythm without having to participate in it directly. It offers a form of rest that is different from sleep because your mind is still awake, but it is not required to make any decisions or solve any problems. It is simply asked to observe and to flow along with someone else's schedule. This is where the idea becomes really interesting, because in our own lives we are constantly in the driver's seat, always deciding what to eat and what to wear, and how to spend our time and how to react to the unexpected, and that constant state of decision-making can be exhausting even if we don't realize it. When we watch someone else navigate their day, we get to take a break from being the protagonist of our own story for just 15 or 20 minutes. And we get to ride in the passenger seat of someone else's life, and there is a profound relief in that surrender. We watch them choose an outfit, and we don't have to choose. We watch them cook a meal, and we can almost smell it without having to chop the vegetables or wash the dishes afterwards, and this creates a safe space where we can experience the satisfaction of completion without the friction of effort. Many people describe this as a kind of vicarious living, and while that phrase can sometimes sound heavy or negative, as if we are living through others because we are unhappy with ourselves, I think it is often much softer and more innocent than that. Because vicarious living in this context is really just a way of expanding our understanding of what a day can look like. It is a way of trying on a different life just for a moment to see how it fits, not because we want to trade places permanently, but because we are curious creatures who learn by observing. When you watch a student studying in a quiet library, or an artist painting in a sunlit studio, or someone living in a bustling city across the ocean, you are engaging your empathy and your imagination, allowing yourself to feel what it might be like to be them, and in doing so you broaden your own internal world. It can feel like opening a window in a room that has been closed for a while, letting in a fresh breeze that smells of different places and different possibilities. And that simple act of witnessing someone else's normalcy can make our own lives feel a little less isolated. This brings us to a part of the experience that is often felt but rarely articulated, which is the comfort of structure. Because so much of modern life feels unpredictable and fragmented, and we often feel like we are reacting to things rather than creating them. But in a day in the life video, there is usually a clear beginning, middle, and end. We see the morning routine, the work or the activity, and the winding down at night, and this narrative arc provides a sense of order that is deeply soothing to a brain that is tired of chaos. We know that the person will likely accomplish their tasks. We know that the video will end peacefully, and that predictability is not boring, it is a sanctuary. It allows us to lower our guard, to stop anticipating the next crisis, and to just rest in the certainty that the coffee will be poured, and the bed will be made, and the lights will eventually go out. Some people find that watching these videos helps them feel more capable in their own lives, almost like a gentle form of body doubling, where seeing someone else do their laundry or answer emails makes those tasks feel less daunting for us. It is not about productivity in a hustle culture sense, but rather about the shared dignity of small tasks. The reminder that everyone else is also washing dishes, and everyone else is also trying to wake up early, and everyone else is also figuring out what to make for dinner. In this way, the screen becomes a mirror reflecting the universality of these mundane moments, reminding us that we are part of a vast, quiet collective of people all just doing their best to get through the day. This is where the comfort really deepens, because in a culture that often celebrates only the big milestones, the promotions, the engagements, the vacations, the dramatic transformations, these videos celebrate the in-between moments, the vast majority of our lives that happen in the quiet hours. They validate the time spent chopping onions or folding clothes or walking to the bus stop, suggesting that these moments are not just filler time to be rushed through, but are actually the substance of a life, and that they can be beautiful if we pay attention to them. When a creator takes the time to film the steam rising from a kettle or the way the light hits a book on a messy desk, they are essentially saying, "Look, this matters. This small quiet thing is worthy of attention," and by watching we are agreeing with them. We are practicing a kind of mindfulness by proxy, learning to see the aesthetic value in our own surroundings. It is often noticed that people gravitate toward these videos during times of transition or stress, perhaps when they have moved to a new city or started a new job, or are going through a period of loneliness, because when our own routines feel shaken or absent, watching someone else's solid routine can act as an anchor. It provides a model of stability when we feel unmoored, a visual reassurance that life continues and that rhythms can be reestablished. It is a way of self-soothing that is very intuitive, reaching for a calm visual input to regulate an overwhelmed nervous system. And we should touch on the aspect of companionship, because for many people these videos function as a low-stakes form of company, where you can feel the presence of another person without the demands of social interaction. You can have someone talking gently in the background or moving through their kitchen while you eat your own dinner, and it eases the silence of an empty room, without requiring you to perform or to speak back. It is a gentle presence, a way of feeling less alone in your own domestic space, and there is nothing wrong with needing that kind of quiet connection. In fact, it speaks to our deep social nature that even when we are physically alone, we seek out the sounds and sights of other people living their lives. Sometimes we watch to see how people live in circumstances very different from our own, perhaps in a tiny apartment in Tokyo or a van traveling the coast, or a farmhouse in the countryside, and this curiosity is a beautiful thing because it reminds us that there is no single right way to live. It loosens the grip of comparison, because instead of feeling like we are failing for not living a certain way, we can appreciate these other lives as different flavors of the human experience, each with their own trade-offs and their own joys. We can admire the discipline of the 5 a.m. riser without feeling guilty that we wake up at 8, and we can enjoy the minimalism of a tidy space while accepting our own clutter. The phrase vicarious living sometimes implies that we are missing out, but in this context, it can actually mean that we are expanding our appreciation. We are gathering data on what it means to be alive in the 21st century. It is also worth considering the audio landscape of these videos, because often they are filled with specific textured sounds like the tapping of a keyboard, the clinking of a spoon against a ceramic mug, the sound of rain on a window pane, or the soft murmur of traffic in the distance. These sounds act as a kind of sonic blanket, wrapping us in a frequency that is familiar and safe. They trigger a response in us that says everything is okay here, there is no danger, just the hum of daily life. It is a respite from the loud, jarring noises of the news or the high-energy demands of other types of entertainment. And it invites our pulse to slow down to match the beat of the video. As we continue to reflect on this, it is interesting to notice how these videos often lack a traditional plot, because there is no villain, there is no climax, there is no twist ending. And that absence of drama is exactly the point. In a world that is constantly trying to hook our attention with shock and outrage, day in the life videos offer a radical softness. A promise that, for the next 15 minutes, nothing bad is going to happen. We are safe here in this stranger's routine. This safety allows our minds to wander, to drift into our own daydreams, and to project ourselves into the spaces we see on screen, not necessarily because we want to be that person, but because we enjoy the feeling of that space. We might see a cozy reading nook and think I could sit there, or we might see a walk through a park and feel the phantom crunch of leaves under our feet. It activates our senses in a way that is very gentle and very pleasing. Many people find that after watching a video like this, they feel a little more motivated to attend to their own lives, not out of shame or pressure, but out of a sense of inspiration, because seeing someone else treat their life with care makes us want to treat our own life with care too. It might inspire us to finally make that cup of tea we were thinking about, or to tidy up the corner of the room, or simply to take a deep breath and appreciate the moment we are in. It frames the mundane as meaningful, and that shift in perspective can change the entire tone of a day. It is a reminder that we don't need to be doing something extraordinary to be doing something worthwhile. The simple act of maintaining a life of caring for a body and a space is enough. It counters the narrative that we must always be achieving or optimizing or growing, and suggests instead that simply being is a valid state. And perhaps that is why the concept of vicarious living resonates so much, because it allows us to witness the being of others, which validates the being in ourselves. We see that they get tired too, that they have lazy moments too, that they burn their toast or spill their coffee, and in seeing their humanity we become softer toward our own. It is a quiet form of solidarity, a digital nodding of the head that says, yes, this is what it is like to be a person right now. So if you ever worry that watching these videos is a way of avoiding your life, I would invite you to consider the possibility that it is actually a way of loving life. A way of appreciating the texture of existence, even if it is through a screen. It is a pause button, a deep breath, and a gentle companion in the solitude of modern living. As we come to the close of this reflection, I hope you can feel a little lighter about this habit, knowing that it serves a purpose that is both kind and necessary. Whether you watch to unwind, to learn to feel less alone, or simply to enjoy the quiet beauty of a well-made bed, you are participating in a very human act of observation and connection. You are acknowledging that the ordinary is worth watching, and that the rhythm of a day is a shared song that we are all humming together in our own separate homes. The next time you click on one of these videos and settle in, let yourself enjoy the comfort of it without guilt. Let yourself be soothed by the routine and the simplicity, and remember that your own day, with all its small, unrecorded moments, is just as valid and just as full of quiet meaning as the one you are watching. Thank you for spending this time exploring this gentle corner of our digital lives with me, and for allowing yourself to pause and reflect on the simple things. If this reflection resonated with you, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for being here.